MAGA Mike is clearly worried about the midterms, but the worst part about it, he's also very out of touch. So out of touch and so worried that he went on a rant during a press conference talking about all the things that would happen if Democrats take over Congress. And frankly, they sounded pretty good.
Say, I am on the ballot, because in a real sense he is. If we were to lose the midterms, heaven forbid, these Democrats, y'all, impeachment's not even the big concern. They will turn every committee of Congress into an investigative body, and they'll go after the president's family, the cabinet, his donors and friends. Half of you in this room will be targeted. I run the protection program. I'll take care of you, okay? We're gonna win. We're gonna win the midterm, okay? All right? I'll leave you.
MAGA Mike said that quiet part out loud, which is Republicans want to keep Congress not because they have so many good plans, not because they might finally put forward a health care plan. Nope. They were doing it because he says he's going to run interference for all those wealthy donors in the room. Yes, he says if it's not for Republicans keeping Congress, there will be investigative bodies investigating actions of the president, of his family, of his cabinet members, of wealthy donors. First of all, the idea that you think that an investigation in itself is so bad you need to keep an election is pretty bad. It shows that you probably have something there that you don't want somebody to investigate. Also, we have all seen plain daylight, the corruption, the grift, lawlessness coming out of Trump and the cabinet members and his family members. I frankly, and I think many Americans, want somebody to look into that.
When I think about the 60s and the tumult of the time, when we made a complete unknown, one of the things I thought Jim Mangold captured really, really well in that, when he dealt with the Cuban Missile Crisis, was just the level of terror that actually created. And I think we move on and we look back, well, the civil rights, we say the civil rights was effective. Change got made. The Vietnam War ended. People protested it. But in the middle of all that, I think people felt just about
hopeless,
as intensely as we feel right now.
Yeah.
I mean, and I could say I think Trump is worse than Nixon and McNamara by far. Trump and Hegseth are, they are, you can actually credit Nixon and McNamara with some dimension of competency.
Yeah.
You know, you may not, terrible things were going on and they were corrupt in some ways and there were lies. We're in a level of incompetency and grift.
Yeah.
And corruption that is unprecedented in the history of this country.
Mike Johnson is so out of touch that he went ahead and read from the Democratic Socialist platform, thinking what he was going to say was so bad. This is reminiscent of when Mamdani was running for mayor and Fox kept on talking on their news channel about his policy, but his policy was actually popular among their viewers, so they stopped giving him free advertising, essentially. Well, Mike Johnson did the same thing and said that this platform wanted more than two parties. I mean, frankly, a lot of Republicans and a lot of Democrats are pretty fed up with the parties and wouldn't mind another third viable party. I mean, is more choice really bad for the American people?
Maybe we're gonna have to straighten it out from Washington, but when I see a communist who has actually pretty much gotten the Democrat nomination, they also went to that new form of voting, which is a beauty. You go in there in third place, you come out in first. That's that form of voting that they have gone to. You know what I'm talking about. It's not too good. We're going to do something for New York. I can't tell you what yet, but we're going to make New York great again. Also,
But evidently, Johnson in his little bubble thinks that is going to be a selling point for not electing the Democrats. Same with Electoral College. Very unpopular, the Electoral College, because of course it has meant that losing the popular vote, Republican presidents have still become president because they won the Electoral College. Very unpopular, but Johnson thinks it's a selling point, talking about how Democrats are trying to get rid of it, or Democrat socialists are trying to get rid of it.
The insurgent left is taking over. Now listen, I don't know if you've seen this, and if anybody shared it from the podium, and if they have, forgive me for repeating it, but the DSA, the Democrat Socialists of America, it sounds so innocuous, doesn't it? No, it doesn't. Don't say that. This is their platform. Listen, this is actually quotes from their platform that they published, I think, about a day or two ago. You can find this on the internet. Okay, here's just a sample of what they're about. They put this on paper. They're saying the quiet things out loud. Abolish the electoral college, replace the two-party system with a multi-party democracy. Expand the House of Representatives, implement proportional representation and ranked choice voting in all elections. Establish public ownership of the largest corporations and essential industries to ensure democratic control and accountability to the people. Abolish ICE and grant amnesty for all. End sanctions on Cuba, Venezuela, and Iran. Free Palestine. Quote, for a free Palestine with Jerusalem as its capital. End all military and economic aid to Israel. Prosecute U.S. and Israeli leaders responsible for the genocide in Gaza. Abolish the carceral state. Quote, redirect police and prison funding to public services as steps towards abolishing the carceral forces of the capitalist state. Y'all, it goes on and on and on. Defund the Department of War. Replace the president and the Supreme Court with an executive and judiciary chosen and subordinate to Congress, which they're hoping to take over. And the last one is abolish the Senate. Now, some of you may agree with that, but don't, just leave that one there. Okay. It's fine. I'm kidding. I love my colleagues.
Then he talks about ranked choice voting. Let's talk about ranked choice voting, because that is becoming increasingly popular because it gives Americans, voters, a chance to vote for who they want, but maybe that person wouldn't necessarily win. Like, there is multiple people running in a primary, and oftentimes you vote strategically because you think that this person may not get it and you really don't like the other person. So you're going to go middle of the road and vote somebody likely to get the nomination, even if they're not your favorite person. Well, ranked choice voting allows you to maybe vote for that person who is a long shot, because you give your second choice to that more viable candidate. That helped Mamdani win the New York mayor election. And there is an uprising around the country for allowing ranked choice voting. Johnson uses that as an example to scare people into voting Republicans. This idea that people could essentially give their voting power to more than one person is somehow awful in a democracy. I mean, at the end of the day, whoever gets the more votes still wins. It just, again, is helping empower people's vote. And frankly, a lot of people don't vote because they feel like that person's going to win because they maybe have raised enough.
We're talking here about the congressional procedures and priorities and nuance, as you say. The argument from the White House or from the president is the Save America Act is a national emergency, therefore everything has to be held for that. This is the only president in any of our lifetimes who has sought to overturn a democratic election by inciting a mob to do so. That is the person that we are now to believe is so exercised by protecting the integrity of the voting system that everything else has to stop to create it. That just doesn't seem plausible to me.
I mean, just yesterday he was saying he called the U.S. attorney to ask him to do him a favor.
Right.
And help the Republican in California get on the ballot.
But the point...
Things like ranked choice voting, things like abolishing the electoral college, things like having multiple parties is something that actually most Americans, both Republicans and Democrats, are in favor of. This just goes to show how much Trump, his cabinet, MAGA Mike Johnson are in their bubble.
Well, I think it's a call to action for patriotic Americans to recognize that at the 250th anniversary of our country's founding in rejection of kingdom and monarchy, we have these events being hijacked by the narcissism of the president who styles himself most like a king, and it wouldn't be a Trump event without no-bid contracts and the sale of access. Corruption is par for the course at this point. I think the Trump show has jumped the shark. I don't think many people are tuning in because he's lost it. But more importantly, what we're seeing is how destabilized he is by his global humiliation in the Middle East, which he cannot deny or lie away. His approval rating sits at 34%, while Americans pay more than ever for groceries and health care and rent. And he's out here building a monument to himself and adorning his office in gold trim while Because of his actions, cancer patients face the loss of their health insurance. He has cemented his place in history in disgrace. And now our job as patriotic Americans inspired by the legacy of our founding is to marshal all of our passion and resources and energy to restoring checks and balances this fall, because we won't get another chance at this. And this race in Georgia will be decisive. I am the only incumbent Democratic senator running for re-election in a state that Donald Trump won. They will spend hundreds of millions of dollars to try to unseat me. And I'm asking folks to visit electjohn.com to support my effort.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.